Hello everyone, this is part 23 of What If Naruto Was the Child of the Moon in Percy Jackson, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Aphrodite entered the quarters he and Hephaestus shared. She was rarely in here, but that's a gross understatement. The proper word was she was never in here, and so was her husband. Well, she couldn't blame him though. She decided to check the forge that Hephaestus built in their temple, but he wasn't there either. Figures, she muttered under her breath. I wonder which forge he would be at today. Seeing as she had no leads on her husband's location, she decided to ask the one goddess who would know his location, so she headed for the throne room. It was an uneventful walk there. There were minor gods ogling her, you know the usual. What bothered her though was why a certain population wasn't head over heels for her. You know who I'm talking about, the satyrs. She overheard one of them talking worriedly to his peers about the missing goddess. HMP, what did that Artemis have that she didn't for those goats to attract their attention? Was it because she's into nature? Maybe maybe she didn't care about being popular that much. Besides, there was a smith god to find. Getting lost in her thoughts, she finally found herself in the throne room. She spotted who she was looking for, a little girl sitting in the middle in front of the hearth roasting a marshmallow and a jar of nectar beside her. Aphrodite, the little girl greeted. What brings you here? I thought you would be with Ares at this time. Silly Hestia, can't a wife see her husband once in a while? She waved off the girl's remark. Actually, I was looking for Hephaestus. Do you know where he is? Hestia turned to her with a deadpan expression. Who are you and what have you done with Aphrodite? Oh Hestia, Aphrodite giggled. You and your silly jokes. I'm serious. Hestia's expression remained unchanged. What devil from Tartarus possessed you to finally take interest in your husband? Come on, can't you help out a wife who is looking for her husband? Aphrodite said with sincerity in her voice. Aphrodite noticed this and considered her request. If you're really that sincere in seeing him, come on, I'll take you to him, in one condition. Anything you want, Aphrodite said. You buy me some ramen at Ichiraku. One of Hephaestus's forges. Current location, unknown. Hephaestus, I'm coming in. Hestia called out as she pushed the doors open. Oh, yeah. Hephaestus grunted, not bothering to look up since he was used to the goddess of the hearth visiting him from time to time. Someone's here to see you, Hestia said. Really? Who? He finally looked up from his latest project, but his questions were answered when he took a whiff of a familiar scent of perfume. Aphrodite, what are you doing here? Hephaestus asked, not used to her presence. You're usually getting caught in my traps at this time. Is that how you greet your wife? Aphrodite puffed her cheeks in a hurt expression. I came to see you, duh. Hephaestus' expression shrunk to a deadpan expression the same way Hestia did earlier. Who are you and what have you done with Aphrodite? Why does everyone assume I'm an imposter? The love goddess wondered aloud. Can't a wife just come looking for her husband? Face it, Aphrodite, Hestia said. After all those millennia of the reputation you've built, you suddenly taking interest in Hephaestus is suspicious, don't you think? She is right, you know, Hephaestus nodded. Fine, I get it, she relented. But even we gods can change, right? I suppose I can hear you out, Hephaestus said, putting down his goggles and the project he was working on. What is it that you needed? Aphrodite walked forward and pulled the smith god to his feet. Go clean yourself up. I have a surprise for you. You better not be trying to get back at me for those times I caught you in those traps. Hephaestus scratched his head. Aphrodite shook her head. I promise, it's nothing like that. You'll see, you won't regret it. You better be right about this one. Arizona desert. Why does this keep happening to us? Percy said as he sped off as far away from the junkyard as possible. Someone must have taken something. Zoe started turning her head to Percy, who. Hold on a sec, why me? Percy protested. Now, we shouldn't point fingers, Naruto appeased his companions. Let's get as far away from here as we can. I don't think we can. Talia yelled. Look. She was looking back at what they might be facing. She saw it. Whatever it was as tall as a big house sitting up, but her eyes widened when it sat up. Looking at it now, its head could easily reach the tops of the skyscrapers. The odd thing was his face was deformed, and its left side was partially melted off. It looked like an old defective model covered in a thick film of dust. Someone also found it a good idea to write the words "Wash me" using the dust. It stood at full height as if scanning its surroundings as if looking for something. What is that thing? Percy asked. It can't be. Zoe's eyes widened seeing the machine. Telos is here. Telos. Who's that? Percy prodded further, not recognizing the name. Telos is the giant hunk of junk on our tails right now, Naruto explained. It's one of Hephaestus's creations. But that can't be the real deal. Talia added. It's too small. It might be a prototype or a defective model. At the mention of the word, it drew its sword. As it did, the metal screeched on the sheath, causing a loud sound that hurt everyone's ears. The blade may have been dull, but one hit from that thing would squash them like a bug. The machine seemed to whir to life as it took its first steps, one of which covering half the distance the demigods traveled in. It's no use, Naruto said. We have to fight. I need to enter sage mode. Naruto began sitting down to enter a meditative stance. This is no time to meditate, Talia said. Look out. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw the massive sword ready to slam it on the ground. Scatter. Zoe ordered, and they both ran in the opposite directions just as the giant's foot set down over their heads. Everyone drew their weapons. Talia raised her shield as she bounded straight down the highway. Bianca and Zoe readied their bows. The latter fired multiple arrows at their opponent to somehow get its attention, but her projectiles were like mosquitoes flying to its face that shattered upon impact. The automaton slashed its barely missing Grover, but it destroyed the power lines that were unfortunately in the way. Man, I feel bad for whoever was going to lose power. Telos spotted the satyr running towards the mounds of metal, so its instincts told it to guard the junk. Grover brayed as he dove inside the huge pile of refuse just as the rusted metal sheared off the top of the mound. Naruto found himself with Bianca. She had been silent ever since Telos came to life. She looked guilty. Then, it dawned on him. Bianca, don't tell me, Naruto began. No. The demigod's voice quivered. She turned her back on the blonde and tried to get away. Naruto grabbed Bianca's shoulder and turned her around. When he saw her face, his expression softened. There were tears welling up on the side of her eyes, threatening to fall. Tell me, what did you take? Naruto ordered. His voice was stern but calm. I, Bianca stuttered out. She couldn't find the words to tell Naruto. She dug into her to show the blonde the trinket, but before she could, a loud commotion was heard. Naruto peeked over and saw power lines break apart from the giant as it broke free from its bindings. Apparently, Telos demolished some towers and Grover took advantage of it and used his woodland magic to tie the robot up. Damn it, Naruto said as he looked back at Bianca. Bianca was holding out a small statue. He recognized it as one of the figurines from the little boy's favorite game. I'm sorry, I just thought, Nico. I see, the blonde said. Percy burst through the pile as another mound was sheared off. What are you two? Percy began, but he stopped when he saw what was on Bianca's hand. How could you think of mythomagic at a time like this? Unless. Save it, Percy, Naruto said. But Percy tried to protest, but Naruto interrupted it with a raise of his hand. I know, but we'll just have to get out of this, the blonde answered with a confident grin. Why, you're not mad at me? Bianca said, wiping the tears on her eyes. You're just looking out for your little bro, right? Naruto patted the younger demigod on her head, ruffling her hair. Now, let's finish this thing. Boom. The sound of a thunderclap shook the battlefield, followed by an explosion and a loud thump. Talia lowered her spear and studied the opponent. Her attack caused Telos to collapse down to the ground, but it only managed to get back up. It seemed to have done nothing but annoy the giant, though you can't see it on its face. The automaton raised its boot to crush the offending demigod for daring to blast it with lightning. Fortunately, the massive size also meant it was slow, so Talia was able to dodge easily. As Telos did this, Percy and Naruto spotted something under the robot's boot. That's a stupid design, no offense Hephaestus-sama, Naruto said, eyeing the boot. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Percy looked at his adopted brother. That's a stupid idea, Naruto said. We'll just get crushed. Besides, it's too small for us to fit. I can fit, Bianca suggested. Naruto stared at her like she grew a second head, then he began to protest. No, it's too dangerous. You don't tell me what I can and can't do. I'm technically older than you. Bianca managed to tease the blonde and act bravely in the face of the situation. Besides, it's my fault the monster is after us. It's my responsibility to stop this thing. Naruto was about to refuse, but Bianca had a determined look on her face. She wouldn't take no for an answer. She grabbed Naruto's hand. I can do this. Naruto sighed. Let's get its attention. Are you sure about this? Percy asked. He didn't get to answer as Bianca rushed the bot. Bianca, what are you doing? Zoe yelled, seeing the charging girl. Naruto rushed through some hand seals and slammed his fists on the ground. Doton, Sando no Jutsu. Two massive rock formations rose from the ground, sandwiching the automaton in between them. Though, the AI on this thing was good. It used its sword to break the other one. It moved to slice the other one, but the power lines came to life once again and tied him to the rock. Get it to raise its foot, Bianca said as she jogged. Naruto, Talia, and Zoe each shot their attacks. A small part of Talia wished that this did the trick, but it was too good to be true. They just managed to knock it down momentarily, but like the persistent bug it is, it got back up again. What is that thing made of? Talia asked. Beats me, Naruto shrugged. That's a god's creation for you. They watched as Percy sliced the bot's big toe and sent taunts towards it. Unfortunately for Percy, Talos seemed offended by the insults. It raised its foot to crush the son of Poseidon, but it stopped midway. What happened? Zoe asked. Did we do it? Naruto shook his head. No, Bianca did. Thank the gods. Talia let out a sigh of relief. Where is she though? She's inside the thing, Naruto answered. WHAAAT. With Bianca. Thanks to their efforts in knocking the huge automaton down, Bianca was able to take advantage of the momentary opening to open the hatch and enter. It was a good thing it wasn't locked. She scanned the room she was now in. She was in a control room of sorts. Various buttons and levers were seen laid out on a control panel. She didn't know what to press at first. Shrugging it off, she tried pressing one button. This caused a blank screen to light up, showing her what the automaton could see through its eyes. Oh no, Bianca's eyes widened when she saw this happening. What do I do? Her eyes scanned the room. She was in a panic, but her eyes managed to spot a lever with the words that read emergency stop button. She lunged for it and pulled. Feeling the Talos screech to a halt, she let out a sigh of relief. Now, to get this thing out of commission, Bianca told herself as she made her way to the command console. She studied it and thought for a moment. I wonder what this button does. After pressing a random button, she felt the robot move. She couldn't see what was doing, but she felt like it wasn't appropriate for the situation. Oh gods, what did I do? She let that go on for a few moments as she scanned the console. She spotted a couple of stick-looking things that seemed to belong in a video game console. Bianca shrugged and grasped them, giving them a trial run. From the screen that came up earlier, she saw that the robot's hands came up in front of its face like it was in a fight. She tried pressing the buttons on top of the controller, then she felt the robot shake like a train rammed itself on it or something. That tremor caused her to fall on her butt. Instinctively, she held onto the controller to use it as a grip. The age of that thing showed and the shaft snapped. She felt the robot lurch forward. Bianca looked at the panel to see what going on. As she did though, her blood ran cold as she saw where the robot was going. She shut her eyes close. Digging into her pocket, she brought out a familiar three-pronged kunai with strange markings. She gripped the hilt to her chest, the same way she always did when she was scared after that fateful encounter in the hotel. Praying hard to anyone who would listen, she said, "Anyone, please." Unbeknownst to her, the kunai she held to her chest began glowing. Cabin 11. Camp Half-Blood. Nico sat up from the bed. He had a nagging feeling in the back of his head like he was about to lose something very important. Words of that mysterious ghost rang through his head as he sat on his sleeping bag. Oh, and he had to use the bathroom really bad. That was maybe the main reason he had to wake up. So, he groggily stood up and went to the bathroom. He let out a huge yawn as he let loose a steady flow on the toilet. As he urinated, he noticed the water in the bucket shimmer and show him an image of Bianca inside a control room of sorts. His eyes widened as he saw his sister. Bianca, he called out, but she didn't seem to hear her. He watched as his sister went through the different buttons on the console. She seemed to not know what she was doing, but her actions had an effect. An effect on what though? He did not what. He was inwardly cheering for his sister while he pressed the button to flush. But, a few minutes later, the room Bianca was in shook and she fell onto the floor. The girl got on her feet not long after looking at a rod-like thing on her hand. The mist-like panel shifted the image to behind Bianca's head looking at her own panel in the room. Now Nico's eyes widened as well and he knew his sister was viewing. He knew that his sister's predicament was dire. He felt powerless. He wanted to do something about it, but there was nothing he could do. He didn't see the end of it though as the picture disappeared in a flash of light. Nico felt anger wash over him. He ran out of his cabin leaving the door open and into the woods without any gear whatsoever. He was simply wearing the clothes on his back, the same clothes he slept in. He didn't know where his sister was, but he wanted to make sure she was okay. She wanted to save her. He didn't get far, though. The same man who appeared to him in his dreams was now standing in front of him. He was still wearing the same clothes as when he first saw him, and his form shimmered just like before. So, do you believe me now? He spoke. Did you do this? What happened to Bianca? Nico fired question after question at him. I assure you this is nothing of my doing, the ghost said. Then, at least tell me what happened to my sister, Nico demanded. This is what happens if you put your trust on mortals like them. They are unreliable, the ghost explained, not answering the boy's question. You should have put your trust in me from the first time I talked to you. I warned you that this was inevitable, but you did not listen. What do I do now? Nico asked, sinking down to his knees in despair. She's all I have. There is a way to bring her back, the ghost brought it up. We can go to where I am from and follow in Orpheus's and Hercules' footsteps. You will retrieve her soul yourself. But how will you do that? Nico looked at the ghost hopefully. Dig deep within yourself and find your heritage, the ghost explained cryptically. And when you do, come find me. With that, the ghost disappeared in the dark of the night. Nico knelt on the ground. He could still feel the ache in heart. He looked up to her and relied on her all his life. Now that she was gone, he looked back to the camp. There was nothing holding him to this place anymore. Answer, he did as the ghost had told him to. Closing his eyes, Nico tried to feel within himself. At first, he didn't feel anything. All the boy felt was the cold winter's chill. He was getting frustrated by the second. And when he was on the verge of giving up, something tugged in his gut. It was the same way Percy felt when he used his powers, but Nico didn't know that. His eyes opened, revealing an eerie greenish hue. Surrounding him was a black aura. Nico studied himself and his newfound power. He almost didn't know what to do, but as if instinct, he held out his hand. At his gesture, the ground shook, causing alarm throughout the whole camp. If his little quiet outburst didn't wake his cabin mates, then this will surely do. ... One by one, the lights in camp lit up as they felt the tremors. The first to wake up was cabin 11. Nico had apparently left the door open, and one of them, an unclaimed demigod named Cassandra, was awake. She was by the main door at the moment in order to close it. That was when the mini-earthquake hit. She fell on her but unable to hold herself up on her feet. That shook the sleep from her eyes. Everyone bolted awake as they felt the shake. Everyone all right? Connor asked. We're all good, the boy who slept beside Nico said. He was named Joe. He stretched, but it was then that he felt something wrong. His spot was unusually wide. There was a sleeping bag beside him, but there was no Nico. Does anyone know where Nico is? He asked. Maybe he's in the bathroom, another one of the demigods, a son of Hermes named Cecil, suggested. Nope, the bathroom's open and the lights are on, Travis said. He stood up to go and check and found nothing there. Maybe he went outside, Cassandra offered. The door was opened when I woke up. He couldn't have left, could he? Connor asked. No, that can't be right, Travis shot down. We should go check anyway, Connor said. Right. Everyone in cabin 11 took all the equipment they thought they need and put on their winter clothes. When they were outside, they saw that everybody else had the same idea. Hey, there are lights coming from the woods, a random camper yelled, running from the woods. All the demigods who were awake ran towards the woods. There they found the hunters of Artemis studying a crevice that seemed like the earth swallowed something. What happened here? Malcolm from cabin 6 asked. We don't know, Kate, the newest camper, explained to the newly arrived demigods. Has anyone seen Nico? Connor asked. He's not in the cabin. Malcolm pointed to the crevice on the ground. It can't be. Connor's voice trailed off. Don't tell me he left camp. It was then that Chiron and Kakashi came from the woods. They had left the big house in a hurry that the centaur didn't even remember to remove the curlers on his tails. Thankfully, the kids were on high alert, so they didn't notice. What happened here? Kakashi asked. Mr. Kakashi, Chiron, Travis greeted. You won't believe this. Nico disappeared at the same time this crevice appeared. Couldn't this be just a coincidence? Kakashi tried a reasonable approach. He could just be around camp. In our line of work, that would not be the case, my boy, Chiron said. But let us not lose hope, he may still be around here. Should we tell Naruto? Kate asked. No, let us not worry them with this while they are in the quest, Chiron said. For now, we handle this problem ourselves. Outside the automaton. At the same time in New Mexico. Percy braced himself for an impact that never came. He looked up to see the giant feet hovering above him, almost crushing him. Damn, he was pushing his luck today. He was thankful that Taiki still indulged him. Seeing that the foot was not going to continue on its course, he ran back to rejoin his friends. Are you okay? Naruto asked the boy as he met up with them. Man, that was cutting it close, Percy said, scratching the back of his head. A little too close, Naruto said. You're lucky Bianca worked fast. I didn't think she would get in that fast, Percy said. You better thank her when she gets back, Naruto told him. What is Bianca doing in there? Zoe asked. She volunteered herself to go and disable Telos from the inside, Naruto explained. She said she was the only one who could fit through the hatch that was on its soul. They were broken out of their conversation when they felt the ground shake. Everyone's mouth gaped as they watched Telos do that viral Korean dance thingy for a few seconds. Now I've seen everything, Zoe said. Are you sure it wasn't Percy who's controlling Telos? Talia asked. Hey, I'm right here and you know it. Percy protested. Geez, Bianca sure was doing her job in there, cause after Telos stopped dancing and got to a fighting stance. It stepped forward to throw a punch, but instead of hitting what was in front of him, the automaton's fist collided with its face. The impact. I can see why it's defective, Naruto muttered as he watched the robot once again lurch forward, this time way. When he saw where the robot was headed, his eyes widened. No. He moved to run towards the automaton in an attempt to save the girl, but he was held back by Talia and Percy. Zoe looked at him with pity. This boy clearly didn't lose someone this way before. No, Naruto, you can't make it. Talia reasoned. I have to try. Naruto said. I have to bring her back to Nico, or else. There's no mark on her. Percy tried his own hand on this. No, let me go. Naruto protested. This must be what the prophecy had said, Zoe said, resigning to fate. He closed his eyes and grit his teeth, almost giving way to the inevitable. That was until he felt it. It was impossible. As Percy had said, he hadn't placed a Horatian mark on the girl and he hadn't given her a kunai. So, why in the hell did he feel a mark coming from Telos even? Could it be? He opened his eyes with a look that mirrored the day he beat Neji to a pulp for spouting those words about destiny. No. Fate, he said after disappearing in a yellow flash, leaving a tri-pronged kunai that impaled itself on the ground. A giant automaton lumbered forward. It seemed out of control, like there was no stopping it. It headed over to the direction of the live power lines. Its ankle snagged one of the lines, making electricity course through the bot's body. Telos's body careened back into the junkyard. Chunks of metal exploded out of the already damaged body. Much worse, its hand blew off and fell on a heap in the ground. Naruto disappeared for a second just as the giant hit the power lines, and he has yet to return. The automaton continued to shed off metal. No. Everyone yelled. Those that remained of the group thought that two were done for. There was no way even Naruto could get out of this one. Naruto, always the one to exceed everyone's expectations, appeared beside the kunai he left earlier. He was covered in steaming burns that were disappearing at a steady rate. In his arms was an unconscious Bianca. I don't believe it, Zoe said with wide eyes, seeing Naruto back. I was a little too late, Naruto huffed, laying the girl he began seeing as a little sister on the ground. Naruto lowered his ear to the girl's chest, his eyes widened at what he heard. It was faint, but it was there. He, then, began pumping on her chest the way he had seen on those first aid videos. You're not giving up on me that easily. Come on, Bianca. With all the movement that was happening, the figurine she took from the junkyard fell from her pocket. So, she was the one who took from the junkyard, Zoe said, looking down, not believing what she was saying. I guess I owe you an apology. Well, that is not important right now, is it? Percy answered, hauling Grover towards the group. Right now, we have to attend to Bianca. Can you use some healing magic, Grover? Talia asked. Sorry, I'm all out of magic, the satyr rubbed his head sheepishly. I used too much large-scale magic earlier. That's all right. We have to do this the old-fashioned way. We need to restart her heart. Naruto said, remembering what those pads were for from the shows he managed to catch. Talia, some lightning please. Are you sure about this? She asked just to make sure. We have to try. Naruto gave her a pleading look that the daughter of Zeus couldn't say no to. Gathering a little lightning on her hand, she placed it on Bianca's chest and sent the charge towards her heart. She jumped at the sudden jolt of electricity. Naruto immediately resumed his chest compressions. Luna came out of her hiding place and watched the events unfold. She watched Naruto as he tried to save the girl. Gaining a determined look on her face, she ran and melted into the shadows. DOA Recording Studios, Valencia Boulevard, Los Angeles. Bianca found herself looking at the gold letters etched in black marble. Music was playing softly in the background and the carpet and walls were steel gray. Pencil cacti grew in the corner that looked suspiciously like skeleton hands. There were also rows of chairs and couches that were occupied, every single one of them. The people there looked normal for a second, but the longer the demigod stared at them, she would realize that they were transparent. She looked over to herself and her form flickered. It was then that the realization hit her. So, I died, didn't I? I'm sorry everyone, she muttered to herself. A bark came from beside her, breaking her from her current mood. She looked down and noticed the familiar dire wolf pup wagging her tail beside her. She knelt and patted her on the head. What are you doing here, girl? Did you die too? Bianca asked, turning another bark from the pup. Ah, a newcomer, a tall and elegant man wearing an Italian suit looked over to them, hearing the barks. Come here please. She rose back on her feet and she made her way to the stand. He looked up to the man. She saw that his eyes were empty behind the tortoise-shell shades he wore. As she walked to the man, Luna tugged on her sock like she didn't want her to go. I am Charon, and I will be assisting you on your journey to the afterlife, the man named Charon greeted. So, tell me, how did you die and how did you get this adorable hellhound puppy? I was fighting an automaton, Bianca answered with her head down, not answering the second question anymore. Oh, a demigod. I remember the last time demigods came by here. They were actually alive, Charon narrated. Anyway, I feel sorry for your kind. Always the ones to leave the plane of the living early. Why do I get the feeling I know who this guy is talking about? Bianca thought to herself, her inner self sweat dropping. Oh yeah, yes I am. You're still too young, I don't suppose you have an American Express account that I can charge? Charon asked. Seeing the girl shake her head, he sighed. No, I suppose you don't. He then looked over to the girl and quickly righted himself. Oh, I'm sorry, milady. I did not realize I can make an exception in your case. Right this way. As the ferryman stood up from his high table, Bianca's form flickered, this time more erratic than the last. Oh, what's this? He said as he saw this happening. What is happening? Bianca asked, confused at the current events. It seems it isn't your time yet, Charon said. Someone doesn't want you to leave just yet. Bianca smiled, remembering the blonde-haired boy close to his heart. Sorry for bothering you then, Charon. And with that, she completely disappeared, leaving Luna to give Charon a smug look on her face. Outskirts of the junkyard of the gods. Naruto continued pumping on her chest. After a couple of shocks, Talia was about to give up already. She deemed the blonde's efforts futile. Look Naruto, She didn't get to finish her statement as Bianca's hand twitched. Wait, Percy yelled. It's working. After a couple more seconds, Bianca coughed and her eyes slowly opened. Hey guys, she managed. Naruto couldn't hold his emotions in any more. He allowed the tears to fall from his eyes and wrapped the girl in a bear hug. You scared us there, Bianca, Talia said. I'm sorry, everyone, for causing you trouble, she mumbled. What's done is done, Zoe said. What's important is thou are not safe. Bianca unwrapped herself from the sobbing blonde and stared at his blue eyes. He wiped the tears that were falling and said, I'm sorry, Naruto. Naruto swapped a stern look on his face. You better be. We almost lost you there. I will be careful next time, I promise, Bianca said. Naruto smiled as he took in his Imuoto's features. Hopefully, there won't be a next time. He managed to joke despite the situation. As he chuckled, in the corner of his eyes, he noticed the figurine she found in the junkyard. Picking it up, he said, You still have to give this to Nico, right? Thank you everyone, Bianca smiled. I will try and keep out of trouble from now on. Naruto wiped the remaining tears from his eyes. He was now back to his normal self. Hey. We're demigods. It comes with the job description. A round of laughter came from the group. Surprisingly, even Zoe felt a tug on her smile muscles. When everyone was done, Zoe said, Now we have to get out of here. That tow truck might work, Percy suggested, pointing at the edge of the dump. There was a tow truck that looked so old it seemed like it threw itself away. Is it okay to take it, though? Bianca said as she took the canteen lid that was filled with nectar. What else could wake up to attack us? Naruto shrugged. You basically took out the boss of this place. Besides, the skeletons are still out there, Talia said. We need to keep moving. Naruto helped Bianca to her feet. She was shaky for a second there, but she was able to hold on to Naruto for support. And together with their other friends, they made their way towards the broken down tow truck at the edge of the dump. When they were up close with the vehicle, they saw that the truck was a lot worse up close. Seeing no choice in the matter, Talia climbed up to the driver's seat and checked everything she needed. For some reason, she found the keys in the glove compartment and that the gas tank was full, so they were good to go. After starting the engine, she motioned for her friends to get inside. Naturally, the girls rode shotgun, leaving the boys to ride at the back of the tow truck. Zoe had volunteered to watch over Bianca during the trip. That left the three to ride on the pickup bed. With everyone comfy in their seats, or as comfy as the three guys could get, they were ready to roll. Naruto noticed that Luna wasn't in the vicinity anymore. He whistled for her to come, and just as he did, he noticed the pup come from the shadows running towards him. Thinking she was just hiding under the rubble, he shrugged. The sun was already peeking up the mountains as they left, but it was already bright enough that the sand hurt to look at. Despite that though, the morning air was nice and cool. They sat in silence listening to a song about a girl asking Romeo to take them somewhere. Talia wasn't happy about that since none of the stations were playing her favorite genre. Naruto wasn't sure if it was from the song, but Grover started sniffling all of a sudden, but he did notice that the satyr had been sensitive ever since the New Mexico incident. With the empathy link between them, Naruto and Percy could connect emotionally with the satyr, but they couldn't figure out what was bothering him. They tried to ask the satyr what was wrong, but he tried acting strong. I'm okay, Grover would say when the two boys asked, but they knew something was bothering him. It was like he was in Yancey Academy all over again, crying over every little thing, maybe even more emotional than before. Luna snuggled closer to Grover to cheer him up, but it seemed like it wasn't working. The truck took them quite a long way away before running out of gas. The tow truck rumbled to a halt at the edge of a river canyon. That was just as well, because they found themselves at a dead end. Naruto and the other boys jumped down the car. As soon as Talia slammed the door, the tires gave out like they were in their last hurrah. Great. So, what do we do now? Talia asked. They looked around, not that there was much to see. There was still desert all around them with occasional clumps of barren mountains here and there and a rocky cliff on one side from a canyon, which was the only interesting thing in the whole place. Down below, there was a river that was about 50 yards across with green water and a few rapids. Despite its size, it carved a huge scar out of the desert. We can take that path over there, Grover suggested, causing the others to look at the direction he's pointing. That's a goat path, Percy protested. Yeah. So, Grover looked at Percy like he grew a second head. The rest of us aren't goats, Percy deadpanned. That's okay, I can carry the rest down the mountain, Naruto offered. If that's okay with everyone. No way, Talia and Zoe disagreed, even if it was for different reasons. Maybe there's a better path if we walk upstream, Talia suggested with a shaky breath. Oh, of course. Sorry, Naruto said, noticing the daughter of Zeus's pale face. But Grover tried to reason out, but he was interrupted by Percy, who dragged him to start walking. Come on, goat boy, Percy said. A little walk won't hurt us. Talia flashed Naruto a thankful look and walked to catch up with the two. Naruto turned to Bianca. Can you walk on your own now? I'm fine after the rest, she answered gratefully. Just tell us if you need something, okay? Naruto said. Okay, Bianca said as they began to walk. Naruto whistled for Luna to follow, who ran ahead of them, curious of everything she was seeing. For about half a mile, they eventually found a slope that was wide enough for non-goats to walk on. On the shore, they found a couple of rental boats that were unattended. Naruto left a wad of cash he figured was enough for the boats, while Percy added a piece of paper where he wrote the words, I owe you 2 canoes. Thy penmanship is shoddy, Zoe teased the son of Poseidon. Give me a break. I'm dyslexic, Percy protested. Right, Zoe waved him off jokingly. Anyway, the rapids are too swift for us to paddle. We have to go upstream. I got it, Percy volunteered. They then placed the canoes into the water. So, the usual arrangements? Naruto asked, earning a nod from the hunter. When they were sitting on the boats set to depart, Percy found that he didn't have control the aquatic vehicles, because under the boat, sitting under the riverbed, were 2 naiads trying to get the boys' attention. They actually looked like a couple of regular, flirtatious teen girls, except for the fact that they were underwater without any scuba gear. Percy actually raised a hand to give them an awkward wave, which the girls giggled at. He didn't even get to ask, as the girls rose from the water, picked a canoe, and started pushing. They started off fast, almost dropping Zoe out of the boat. When she was able to stay on the boat, a stream of water like the one that came from a hose squirted up and splashed her in the face. Zoe tightened the grip on her jaw and went for her bow, prompting the demigods on her boat to hold her back from unnecessary bloodshed. She devils. Whoa, Talia said. There's no need to go there. Cursed water spirits, Zoe grumbled. I suppose after all those millennia they haven't forgiven me yet. Forgiven you for what? Percy asked over the wind. She slung the bow over her shoulder and shook her head. It is nothing. It happened a long time ago. Answer, they sped off the river, not one of them saying a word. A couple of times after the first time, the naiad sprayed the water on her. This time she didn't get angry. She had a look on her face that seemed to doubt all the decisions she had done up to this point. What's on your mind? Naruto asked. I figured you would be picking a fight by now. I was just thinking. Zoe looked up. If I had insisted on going with Artemis, perhaps we would not be on this quest. She then turned to Bianca. I am sorry. Thou almost lost thy life back there, if only I had not brought thee along. I'm back here, aren't I? Bianca grinned. You didn't lose me. No, this is my fault. Zoe shook her head. I sensed thy power, and immediately wanted you to join the hunt. When I learned thou rejected the mistress's offer, I was angry. I wanted to be your sister, and perhaps in the future, you could have replaced me as lieutenant. It was my rash decision that insisted the camp to allow you to join this quest. Look, it's no one's fault, Naruto said. No one knew all this would happen. But I could have judged things better. Zoe countered. After all these years of staying by Lady Artemis's side, I did not get any wiser at all. Hey, if it's Okasan's kidnapping you're worried about, whatever this thing that trapped her was, it was certainly more powerful than even her, an Olympian, Naruto explained. She didn't want anything to happen to any of us, that is why she didn't take us on her hunt. Zoe stared at Naruto. Why do you insist on calling us your sisters even if we push you away? Naruto looked down with a melancholic smile. Because you're the closest thing to family that I've ever gotten. Well, there is Camp Half-Blood and Percy and his mom, but you're the closest to blood relatives I can get. Percy looked at his brother. He knew that the blonde didn't want to talk about this thing, so he decided to change the subject. After all, he had his own questions on his mind. What do you know about this? He asked, taking out his pen. Zoe's gaze shifted over to the pen. Her expression turned from lost to pained. It was a gift, and a mistake. A gift for who? Percy asked again. Zoe took a deep but shaky breath. A long time ago, a nymph, Cleone, had 5 daughters. She lived in a garden with her daughters and her husband on the edge of the west. This garden had a tree that bore fruit to golden apples, which was guarded by a massive black dragon. The Hesperides, Naruto muttered, earning a nod from the hunter. You said there were 5 daughters. All the books I read only told of 4 daughters. I will get to that, Zoe said. Oh, I see, Naruto said. Please continue. Well, one day, there was this hero who came for an apple on the tree. After a direct assault on the black dragon failed, one of the sisters helped him. She gave him the idea on how to steal one of the apples and how to trick their father. Who was the hero? Percy asked. That's not important, besides, I know all the young heroes look up to him and wish to emulate him, Zoe said with venom in her voice despite how much she tried to hide it. My point is, the hero succeeded on his subsequent bout. After that, he took all the credit. And the sister who helped him. Forgotten, blotted out of history. I see, so that's why, Naruto said looking at Zoe. He had a gut feeling that story was a, based on true story, kind of thing, but he didn't press further since he didn't have proof. After Zoe finished her story, the naiads gurgled as if trying to tell the son of Poseidon something. I guess this is as far as they can take us, Percy pointed forward. Everyone followed Percy's gaze only to see the reason why this was the case. The river was blocked by a dam the size of a football stadium. It's huge, Talia said in awe. And so there they were, standing at the river's edge looking at a massive slab of concrete looming over the cliffs. It was so massive that the people walking on top of that thing looked like fleas in comparison. Percy waved goodbye to the naiads and thanked them for their help in getting them here. They waved back at him, and with one last spray of water to Zoe, they were on their way. Although, as soon as they turned around, Percy was pretty sure he heard them grumbling. He couldn't blame them though. They must have hated this dam blocking up their river. Naruto stared at the dam. Annabeth's missing out on another monument, I could almost hear her voice. 700 feet tall, Percy said in her best Annabeth impression. Built in the 1930s. He was followed by Talia who did the same, 5 million cubic acres of water. Largest construction project in the United States, followed the Satyr. Zoe and Bianca stared at the three. How did you know all that? Zoe asked. Annabeth told us, Naruto asked. Without her here, her spouting out of facts doesn't seem annoying anymore. I'm never taking her facts for granted ever again, Percy said. The next time she lectures us like that, I'm making sure to listen to her, Grover sighed. She would love to come here, Talia added. Then, let's come back next time, Bianca suggested. And let's make sure to take her with. She would like that, Naruto said. We can go there right now for his sake, Grover suggested. Maybe we could get her a souvenir or two. Surprisingly, Zoe didn't protest. I personally don't think this is a good idea, but the road is up there, so, sightseeing it is. And with that being said, everyone nodded. They had to walk for about an hour before they found a path that led to the road. It was on the east side of the river. It was a cold and windy path to the top. On one side, there was a big lake ringed by barren desert mountains. On the other side, the dam dropped, like the most dangerous turnpike, down to the diver 700 feet below where the water churned through the vents. At the top, Talia made it a point not to get acquainted with the railing. She decided to walk as far away from it as possible. Grover and Naruto exchanged looks. Percy knew what that meant. He'd seen that look on Grover before. He didn't like what that meant. Is it like that time in the Gateway Arch? Percy asked anxiously. Are they close? Grover shook his head. Maybe not close. The wind could carry their scent for miles, and it's coming from several directions. My senses are going haywire, Naruto added. It seems like we're surrounded. There's a snack bar in there, Talia pointed out. Naruto and Grover's eyes widened. What are we waiting for? Let's go, they said in unison running inside. Shouldn't we be worried if they both could sense something? Bianca asked as she watched their retreating form. It won't hurt to look around for a while, Percy said. Besides, we could use a break after everything that happened. By the way, how did you know about the snack bar? I came here once, she pointed to the far end of the dam. To Percy, he spotted a couple or 3 statues that looked like an Oscar's statue with wings. Come on, let's go rub their toes. Percy and Bianca gave her an odd look, but Talia motioned for them to follow, to which they obliged. Later, it was weird, but Percy and Bianca still did it in the end. Talia explained to them that the statues were a gift to Zeus from Athena. She also told them that rubbing the toes brought good luck, and with the current time left, they needed all the luck they can get. I don't know where these mortals got the idea of rubbing toes from, but all I'm sure of is they know that something about them was special. After that, Zoe said in a serious tone, let us meet up with Naruto and Grover at that damn snack bar. We should eat while we can. Despite the tone the hunter used, the Percy and Talia couldn't help but snicker, while Bianca's mouth hung open. The damn snack bar, Talia repeated, causing Bianca to stare at him as well. Yes, what is funny? Zoe asked, narrowing her eyes at the two. Nothing, Percy said, trying to keep a straight face. I could use a damn burger. And I need to use the damn restroom, Talia added. Then they looked at Bianca, nudging her to chime in, but she clamped her mouth shut and shook her head vigorously. In hindsight, she was born in a time where they would force you to gargle soap for saying stuff like that. Zoe just watched her companions crack up, except for Bianca. I do not understand, she said. Percy could have continued joking, but he froze on his tracks. Did you guys hear a cow? A damn cow. Talia thought Percy was still going on with the joke. No, I'm serious this time, he said. Moo. There it is again. Listen. He held out his hands in a stop everything gesture. I hear nothing, Zoe said. Are you alright? Bianca finally let a word out now that the subject was changed. I'm fine, Percy nodded. You guys go on ahead, I'll just, use the damn restroom. The three girls just shrugged and went on to join their friends. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.